We've got another great interview for you guys today. Ileana Douglas is in the house. Not a big deal, was in Goodfellas, Cape Fear, To Die For, Ghost World, and then on TV, not a big deal, Seinfeld, Frasier, Drew Carrey Show, Law & Order, SVU, Entourage, Ugly Betty, 6 Feet Under, and my favorite, Action.
Yes.
So, you've had a chance to work some.
Yes. Yeah, I'm in between two movies I'm shooting right now. So.
Right, I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about everything. Okay. So let's start at the beginning and then go towards your projects.
Okay.
So.
What's the beginning?
Okay. Two atoms collide. No, all right. So, how'd you get into acting?
Well, my grandfather was an actor, Melvin Douglas, so I was kind of around it growing up. I was always aware that he was an actor. I visited him on a number of film sets. So I think, I think it was something I always wanted to do. I did theater as a kid.
So, but he was out here in LA?
Yes.
And you didn't grow up here. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, those three. We sounds like a big chase by the law. But those different had relatives in New York, so.
They got Bulger, but they're never going to get you.
No, I know. I've changed myself dramatically too.
So that's super interesting to me. That like when you're young, you go on the sets. How old were you when you went on those sets?
Oh God. Well, if I was on the set of Being There, so I don't remember. That was like '79, I guess. But I remember just being a little kid, and went down to see my grandfather. He was working with Peter Sellers. I got to meet Peter Sellers, and just was an incredible, magical experience. I mean, I was obsessed with the Pink Panther and then meeting him. So it had this really profound effect on me. Of course, like who wouldn't want to be an actor after, meeting all these great people? But I was also kind of crazy. I was crazy about the behind the scenes too. The director and sat with the headphones and people made notes and all of that. Just the process of making movies always fascinated me.
So it's hard not to get hooked by that, because my grandfather was a dentist, so like
wouldn't
yes, so I go to his office. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and skip this profession.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I was on another film set called Ghost Story. It was a horror movie. Here's the cast: Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Fred Astaire, John Houseman, Patricia Neal.
Yeah, but were there any famous people on it?
Yeah. So, again,
right.
It just seemed like just hearing them tell these amazing stories and hanging out with them. Who wouldn't want to be an actor?
So again, as you're a kid and you go back home to Massachusetts or Connecticut or wherever you happen to be on the run at that point.
Yes.
You're thinking, God, that's magic over there. They're doing magic. I got to get back there. Is that largely what's going through your head?
Yeah, pretty much. That's why it was like I wanted to be going in New York, going to acting school. That was like that's where I wanted to be.
And where do you get your first break?
That's I was doing stand up. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
my
awesome.
first job out of acting school was, I got a lucky break doing stand-up, and that led to being involved with a sketch comedy group. So I was immediately sort of started working, and then I was in a theater troupe, and somebody who worked for a director named Frank Perry recommended me to a film publicist named Peggy Siegel. I started working for Peggy Siegel, and this is kind of like a famous story, but anyway, I was hired to dub screams for Last Temptation of Christ. So I went in.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that famous story.
So I met, that's how I met Martin Scorsese and did a lot of background voices on the film, and that led to, auditioning for New York Stories. So I guess that's like my first probably really, really, big break.
Were you Christ? Were you?
No, I'm all over the movie. You can hear my voice. I was Lazarus's sister. I did a whole bunch of things. I did like screams for Barbara Hershey, which is funny. I'm actually in a movie right now with Barbara Hershey, so I get to It all comes full circle.
It does. Do you get to talk for her or scream for her in this
well,
movie?
If she screams, she will not scream. She'll just open her mouth and I'll scream for her.
I didn't even know they did that in the movies. So, like, when the women are screaming, like presumably Jesus is getting, whipped, etc., as he did for 98% of the movie. Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they shot the movie in Italy, and I guess there was a lot of the background had thick accents, or they're using styrofoam rocks or things like that. It just a whole bunch of the movie needed to be redubbed.
Right. So, my God, if you'd been hired for Mel Gibson's Christ movie, you would have been busy for like years screaming. Right.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That's like my first kind of. But I was always getting crazy jobs like that, like Frank Perry, who worked in the, he threw me in a movie, yelling at Shelley Long. That's how I got my SAG card. So it was always like having, like, the first couple jobs are always just really kooky.
Have you ever gone out with someone, or I don't know, family, friends, or whatever, and they come out of a movie and go, "I heard your scream. That was you. I know."
Well, people have gone back to Last Temptation and listened to it. And I know often, like, I have a very recognizable voice. So many times I'm in a restaurant and I get somebody that turns around. "I thought it was you," because they hear my
That's funny.
voice.
They're like, "I thought it was you, Barbara Hershey." Okay, so that's pretty cool. One more thing about the past as we get to your projects now.
Yes.
So stand-up, was
Yeah.
that nerve-wracking when you first did it?
Oh, it was crazy horrible. I couldn't last in it all, and I really I only did it again sort of to make money. Stand Up New York was near me, and I entered one of these crazy contests that they used to have in the 80s. I won and the owner of the club.
So you must have been pretty good to win.
Yeah, we only had to do 5 minutes, so it
Still, no, yeah.
But I won, and the guy was getting me to work there, and and he said, if you win this thing, you'd be on Letterman, and I won it. And then I said, "Well, when do I get to be on Letterman?" And he goes, "Oh no, I didn't mean that. I meant, you work hard, and someday you'll be on Letterman." In fact, you want to start working in the afternoon. So it was crazy. It was like, but I would. So he sort of started managing me. But the first couple jobs, like you go away and you're a girl, and I was like, people are drinking and sleeping with waitresses. Like, this is just shocking. And
That's hilarious. How old were you?
I was like, 18 or whatever, or 19
okay.
out of school.
All right.
And there was a ton of other female comedians that just were like, "What's the problem?" But maybe they were a little bit tougher than me. I don't know. The whole environment of even like my friends who know me, like, I don't like to stay up late. I'm not a big drinker, and I don't like to sleep with waitresses. So.
Well, that's a little disappointing,
Yes.
but okay. All
So
right.
all of those things were a downer. But I do like to be funny, and I do like to travel. So.
No, man, that takes some balls, man. Even thinking about stand-up comedy scares me. So at such an early age to just jump in and you won the contest, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed the part about being funny. I didn't enjoy the environment. In fact, it's like lately here in LA, I do these private. It's gonna sound really kooky, but I do a variety show in people's living rooms. So
Really?
Yes.
How do I get one of those?
Oh my God! You just asked me. I put on a professional variety show in people's living rooms, and all they have to do is feed us. And this is like
Because you love it.
Because I love performing, and it's a way to, it's a nice social thing. It's a way to give back and be a performer, meet people, and it's also like I was obsessed with variety shows growing up, and I miss them, and it's just sort of a nod, like that we're all watching things online, and this is a way to actually entertain in people's living rooms, which is what I always wanted to do.
Variety shows are making a comeback. They got one on Pivot now. There's a new channel.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's that guy who was from Third Rock from the Sun and Inception? He's super hot now. Anyway, there's.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's that guy.
That guy.
Thank you,
Oh.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's
Yes.
doing a variety show on Pivot.
Oh, he
we got to
is?
get you. We got to tape that thing. Maybe put it on the TYT
I know.
network.
Well, I got to start watching things more online.
Okay. So speaking of which, you're
Yes.
doing a lot of projects online.
Yes.
There's a million projects to get to, but I want to start with Easy to Assemble. Okay.
Yeah.
So like every online like awards ceremony, whatever I go to, it's like easy to assemble, easy to assemble, easy to assemble.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know about it, tell us what it is.
Easy to Assemble is a show that's sponsored by IKEA. I've been doing it since 2008. And basically I play myself, like an actress who's trying desperately to get out of show business. She goes to work at IKEA. She starts doing a talk show on the floor of IKEA, becomes pretty successful, and through this process, she kind of discovers that the best role she never played was herself. And it's very autobiographical, and again, it's my way of making fun of myself and learning how to write and be funny. We've had amazing guests, you know, Jeff Goldblum, Tom Arnold, Jane Lynch, Fred Willard, on and on. But been doing it for 5 years.
So it's funny because the plot sounds like something I would do if I lost a show. Like I would go to any local mall, whatever, if it's an IKEA, and I'd be like, all right, welcome to Young Turks, everybody.
Yeah, yes. And then what if it actually started becoming successful? So that was the whole idea. And what was great about working with IKEA is that they left me alone, and I got to write the scripts and cast whoever I wanted to be in it. And the more I started working at IKEA, the more we became friends. And I actually really like their work ethic and the whole Swedish philosophy, and that they're all a family and they all work together. And so the show eventually turned into kind of almost like a blue-collar comedy with me sort of learning from the coworkers and them becoming my family, because I've worked so much in my career that I haven't really, you know, that is, you know, your career becomes like your life, and at a certain point you wake up and you realize, like, oh, I have no family. It's like, you know, it's just your career. So it also explores that.
Yeah, no, believe me, I got issues there too. So how many Swedish meatballs have you eaten? Over or under 1,000?
Well, here's the thing, I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, wasted.
So
you do a show in IKEA and you don't eat the meatballs.
I know.
That's crime against humanity.
I know, but everybody else makes them. In fact, when we do the show and we shoot there, that's everybody's first thing is they get the Swedish meatballs. We provide.
All right, and especially because you're obsessed with Sweden. You're on another
obsessed.
Swedish project.
Yes.
And so not eating the meatballs is unconscionable. First, where do people see Easy to Assemble? Easy
to Assemble, you can watch it on YouTube. It's Easy to Assemble TV, or our other hub, Easy to Assemble series.com. We're also on Daily Motion, but we're also an iPhone app. But the best thing is to go to YouTube, and you can watch all 4 seasons.
All right, that's awesome. And so now you got Welcome to Sweden. What's that?
Well, when I was doing the show, Easy to Assemble, we needed Swedish actors because we had a whole season that, you know, was fictionally going to be shot in Sweden. So I got to know this Swedish agent, and I said, you know, I'm obsessed with Sweden. If anything ever comes up, like, please think of me. So lo and behold, like 2 years goes by, she calls me and she says, Amy Poehler is producing this show. It's called Welcome to Sweden. It's going to be shot in Stockholm. You know, we want you to be in it with her, playing her brother, Greg Poehler, who he's a comedian who moves to Sweden and gets involved with a girl there. And so I went to Sweden this past summer, worked there. It was incredible. And the show's going to start airing in Sweden in January, and they'll be airing here sometime after that.
Do people start thinking you're Swedish?
No.
No, nobody's thought that.
I wish they did. They are, I mean, as much as they say we're not all blonde, it's like, you're all blonde. Everybody is blonde there. So, incredibly beautiful.
I remember there would be these congressmen who would pick a particular country that they would get their bribes from. I mean, get their campaign donations from.
Yes.
And so they'd be like, friend of Turkey. And we had like this congressman who was friend of Turkey. And everybody would give him donations. And so then he would stick up for Turkey in Congress. And there'd be friend of India, Stephen Solars, right? So like in the movie industry and the media industry, you're friend of Sweden.
Totally. I'm friend of Sweden. In fact, I have a Swedish agent, and I go on tape for things in Sweden. But that's what's so interesting about our like global marketplace now is, I was saying this before, to go to Sweden to be in a show with Amy Poehler and Will Ferrell, and it's got an amazing cast. Like the fact that they couldn't get it financed Here in America, they had to go to Sweden to get it financed, shoot it in Sweden with Swedish subtitles. It's completely done, and then the American audiences say, buyers go, oh, this actually turned out pretty well. I think we want it now.
Oh yeah, Netflix is next. That's coming.
Yes.
So that's my sense of it. So like David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany, right?
Yes.
So you're like the Hasselhoff of Sweden.
It's what I'm hoping for. I wasn't as famous as Patrick Duffy, who was in Dallas, because apparently Dallas was the biggest show in Sweden.
Yeah, didn't ABBA, I feel like I've been listening to some ABBA songs, and I think they have Dallas in half the songs, I was watching Dallas, etc.
It was the first American show to go to Sweden. However, I do have a claim, my claim to fame in Sweden, which I didn't know before I went there. Apparently, I was part of a big censorship case because
really?
Yes, because Cape Fear, apparently they had censored out where Robert De Niro bites my cheek. And that was very controversial.
I was just about to say, I don't remember you being naked in Cape Fear.
No, it was
no,
just...
you weren't. Okay.
Just the bite.
Okay.
Just the bite. But eventually they put it back, but they all knew about that. They showed me the little clip in the Swedish Film Institute that they had cut out.
Wow, so you're also the Larry Flint of Sweden.
Yes,
okay,
yes, that's
right.
a nice way to think of it.
Okay, so now there's, speaking of movies and the parts that you missed, you also do second looks on Turner Classic Movies.
Yes.
So what's that?
Oh, that was amazing. I'm working they've been doing a lot of stuff for them, Turner Classic Movies, amazing old movies. I'm a huge film buff, of course, and love talking about movies. I did a stint for them called Second Looks, which is giving movies a second look that you maybe didn't see. In your case, you've never seen them in the first place, like Gypsy.
Yeah. So we were talking about this before with the interview, and how embarrassing my lack of knowledge is when you go to old school movies, etc. Which Ben Mankiewicz, hosts Turner Classic Movies, hosts the Young Turks.
Yes.
He wanted to do the interview, but he's ironically doing a Turner Classic Movie shoot right now. He yells at me all the time, and then every once in a while he forces me to watch an old movie, and I go back to him and I'm like, you know what? That wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty cool. The Guns of Navarone is kind of badass.
Yeah, they're really good. Well, that's what we tried to focus on the movies that maybe for whatever reason the first time came around didn't do so well, or but all the movies had starred really famous people. Inside Daisy Clover, Natalie Wood and Robert Redford, or A New Leaf was Walter Matthau and Elaine May. So we had 25 films. It sort of exploded. It was really, really popular. We did I did online tweeting with people, so it was kind of fun. It was like watching the movie with other people.
That's neat.
Yeah, commenting along with them.
Out of the 25, when you were there any that when you gave it a second look, you're like, nah, it turns out it kind of sucked?
Okay, it's so interesting you say that, because these were movies that I picked. And so, but I had to rewatch them. And so, before we put them on the air, so they sent me a copy of this movie from, I think it's 1950 or 49, Top Banana, starring Phil Silvers. And I watched it alone in my house, and I was like, geez, I don't know. This may be a total disaster. It is a flat, filmed version of the stage play of Top Banana. He did win a Tony for it. But this was they were going to do it in 3D, and then halfway through the movie they decided not to because it was too expensive. So they just released this flat version. Okay, we put Top Banana on, and it was a sensation. People freaked out. People discovered Phil Silvers for the first time. People were watching it with their grandparents. People were laughing at the really, really corny vaudeville stuff. So it was a kind of a revelation for both me and for everybody else that if you present it in the right way, you can, people can really.
That's
really
interesting,
like it.
because for me, old movies honestly are hit and miss. like every once in a while, like I said, Ben will get me to watch a movie. I'm like, wow, that was really great. Now I get why people like it. And every once in a while, I watch a movie and I'll be like, we got so much better.
Yes.
We got better at making movies.
Yes. Well, yes and no. I mean, I think, but we did an approach with the show that, like, there's a movie, this Elia Kazan movie called The Arrangement. It had never been shown on Turner. It's very, very obscure. And, but it's based on a really best-selling book. And so what I talked about was saying that the movie is flawed because it was filmed in the late 60s and it's kind of caught between, there's a lot of nudity in it, like Kirk Douglas is naked, and it's kind of caught again between
interesting.
Studio system.
We finally got a Douglas who's naked. Okay.
Yes, finally.
Okay.
But I...
Did that get censored in Sweden too?
I wonder. It was...
They're like, with the Douglases, one gets the face bitten off, the other was naked.
Yes, the Douglas clan. But anyway, so watching him, Kirk Douglas do this really brave performance, I thought was really interesting. But I did point out the flaws beforehand. So, I think people appreciated that. I wasn't saying this movie is great. Like, I would say of every movie, like, you may like this movie, you may hate it, but you're going to have an opinion about it. And so I thought that was, like, not every film is a classic, but I feel that you've got to see movies for, even if it has one amazing scene.
So it's interesting is you've now done the entire spectrum from, like, classic movies to new media.
Yes.
I mean, you did unbelievable TV shows, unbelievable movies. Like, there's no one that represents the spectrum of media in America better than it.
I never did a soap opera, though.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
no.
Okay. We'll have to do one in somebody's living room. I'll join you. I'll be a doctor. Is it like you need a doctor in every soap opera?
I think
right?
you do.
Okay,
I think you do, and a weird bandage that goes over.
Yeah, and you can play your twins. One will be evil, and the other one will be good.
Oh,
okay, we're working on this.
Yeah,
okay,
I always wanted to do that.
So now, in terms of new media,
Yeah.
you're helping Adam Carolla with a project. What's that about?
Well, he's helping me. He's the big star. I love Adam. He's a great guy. I've done his show many times, and he's did a Kickstarter project, crowdfunding, and raised like $1.4 million, which I think is
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. A little over a month. And I think that what is amazing about it, and part of why I was very touched to be a part of it, was I'm playing his ex-wife in the movie, and he said, I'm casting people in the movie that I want to cast. So it's like, I'm in it, Jay Moore is in it, David Alan Grier.
Here we go, back to action.
It's going to be a little action reunion. But I just think that it represents, again, a new way of funding and making movies that, going around the studio system in a way, because he's got a huge fan base and he has a point of view and he's used his show, now to make a movie, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I used to really like Adam Carolla, and I thought he was like the most underrated, funny guy in the business. Lately, I've been really annoyed at his politics. Okay, but that's a different thing.
Well, I know. In the olden days, I don't know, people. We just watch people's movies. It's almost a shame we know so much about people's personal lives, because then it influences.
It does.
Whether you like
because
them or
even
not.
Clint Eastwood, who's a legend, right? And I love his movies.
Yes.
Love them, right?
Yes.
Now I picture him talking to an empty chair, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. But in my mind, I've categorized like, no. The pre-chair talking Eastwood is the one I like.
Yeah, the 60s, gritty.
So anyway, but it sounds interesting. So what's the movie called? Does it have a name yet?
I don't think it has a.
It doesn't even have a name.
Road Hard.
Oh, Road Hard. Okay.
About his being on the road and being a comedian.
So that's going to take a while to make and get out, though.
We start shooting in December.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes.
All
the
right.
same time I'll be on the TCM movie cruise, which is going to be really.
Oh, you're going on the movie cruise?
Wouldn't miss it. Okay. 7 days of watching movies on the open sea. Come on, who wouldn't be down
I don't know that I could do 7 days of classic movies. I don't know if I could do that, but I could do I could do 7 days of an open buffet, though. That day I could do. Okay, that's why I've been looking forward to going on a cruise. I just haven't had any time.
I've never been on
I'm like your character in Easy to Assemble.
Yeah.
Like I've lost track of my life because of my career.
Yes.
You know what I keep dreaming? When I think cruise, I think unlimited shrimp. but I've never had the chance to go, even though I want to.
I wonder. I hope it will be. I hope it will be unlimited shrimp.
So Ben Mankiewicz will be on that cruise too, I imagine.
You bet. I'm going to short sheet him. I've got all sorts of hokey things planned.
Okay, that's awesome. Now you got me thinking.
Kidding, of course.
We should.
No, you should.
We should do a TYT cruise.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wait a minute.
I'm down.
Okay.
I'm down.
Yes, that's it. You just promised it. It's on tape, right?
I'll be there.
Okay. All right, we're booking it.
Entertainment.
All right. Well, everybody check out all the projects that you're in.
Yes.
Easy to assemble on YouTube. That's the easiest one because we're on YouTube. You're just going to click right over at the end of this interview. Ileana Douglas, great talking to you.
Thank you.
Now whenever I hear a scream in a movie, I'm going to be thinking, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I think I know that voice.
Wait just a minute.
It's a unique way to break into movies. It's awesome. All right. Thanks so much.
Alrighty, thank you.